sister's a therapist and I tell jokes. We both want to help all kinds of folks.
Hello, and welcome to another rip-roaring episode of My Sister's a Therapist. This is a podcast between two sisters, one of whom is a stand-up comedian, and one of whom is a funny therapist.
Hello, I'm Laura Ryan. I'm a funny therapist, but I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist. My main credit is sister to side-splitting satirist Virginia Jones.
Laura had her aura read yesterday, and the lady doing the reading asked, "Are you a stand-up comedian?" And she said, "No, I am just regular funny."
I said, no, my self-esteem is too high.
My brother used to be one.
That's true. My brother's still a comedy writer, so it's all kind of linked. Virginia, let me ask you this. If I wanted to help promote the podcast and let people know about it, what are some ways that I could do that?
Great question. Thanks so much for asking. You could like and subscribe to the very podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on right now. You could write a review on any platform. We will see it and we will enjoy it. But you could also cross-post the podcast. If we've said something in an episode that you think is helpful to a friend or family member, send them that episode. Talk about it. Wear a t-shirt about it.
Go to your local bus station and tell everyone there that you love My Sister's a Therapist podcast.
Go places where mentally ill people hang out and tell them about the free treatment they can get on the My Sister's a Therapist podcast. This is currently the #1 therapy podcast recorded by two sisters
in the whole world. I want to track back to, you said free therapy. Would not call that this.
Free therapy. There are some actual good advice therapy pieces that you can pick up here for free.
100%. And if you want to be my real life client, you can just go to my website, which we'll talk about later.
On this podcast, we take turns being the expert and non-expert on a topic. This week, it is Laura's turn to bring the topic to the table. Laura, what are we talking about this week?
This is a phenomena that I experience often in my office.
I'm sorry, a phenomena?
Phenomena. A client will come in and it'll be their first appointment. And sometimes it'll be their 50th appointment, but they will say to me, "Am I the only person that you've ever heard doing this thing or having problems here?" And I always say, "No, you're the 10,000th person." What we're going to talk about today is why everyone thinks they're a snowflake.
This is a great topic. I'm very interested in it because we do think that our experiences are completely unique. Our tastes are completely unique. And why would they be when we're all growing up in a society? We all have parents. We all have a lot of the same problems and challenges. But we do seem to believe if we're thinking or feeling something, probably no one has ever thought or felt it before.
Exactly. I'm going to start off with the article, "Am I Normal?" by Josie Glausiusz. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in every 8 people in the world live with a mental disorder, anxiety and depression being the most common. Much of what we believe is normal about human bodies, health, and behavior is based on data from a subsection of the world's population classified as weird, Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. Weird people make up less than 12% of the world's population, but are 96% of subjects in psychological studies and 80% of subjects in medical ones.
This is all rich people stuff. This is first world stuff. We have the scientists, we have the psychologists, we have the universities. Therefore, when they cast a net to talk to people, they're going to tend to be Western educated rich people.
When you're thinking that that's the Gen Pop and you don't fit that, you are going to feel weird, even though technically
you're not weird.
You're not weird.
When did normal become a desirable human trait? The story begins with a Belgian astronomer and statistician named Adolphe Quetelet, who died in 1847, kiss it up to Adolf, who took published data on the chest measurements of 5,738 Scottish soldiers and plotted them on a graph in order to determine the ideal, quote, average man. He also set in place the belief that any deviation from the center of the bell curve was some kind of aberration. I think that people have always wanted to be normal, have always wanted to be like other people. It is part of our caveman training. You want to belong to the group because you don't want to be ejected from the group.
I wholeheartedly agree. We all want to be the same as others. For example, the people who come to see me. You're not hopping on the evening news and Walter Cronkite. That's a reference to how young I am. Walter Cronkite is discussing his erectile dysfunction or trichotillomania. Why do people find it so difficult to realize that every other person has the same fundamental problems as they do? Everyone believes that they are unique and the problems that they have are unique because, in a way, that is true. No two stories are the same. No one actually has the same experiences as you, and everyone lives in a deeply conditioned prison of their own beliefs.
You know you love unique New York. You know New York. You need New York. You know you need unique New York. Our individual experience is going to be different. Other people didn't go to Deepwood Elementary School. Other people didn't grow up Mormon.
I did.
Both did. We have more in common than other people. Other people do not drive the same car as me. Other people are not having a similar relationship as me. In general, we're all the same. In general, we all want the same things. We want good family relationships. We want to be healthy. We want to be intellectually engaged. We are all told that we want to buy and sell goods on the capitalist marketplace. We have more in common as humans on the planet than we are different.
By the way, if you're interested in buying a hat from Virginia, she has them on her website.
I do. I was thinking about that this morning. I had to turn off the store on Bandcamp because Bandcamp was not giving me notifications. So I would get someone saying, hey, I did order a CD and a hat from you about 6 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I have the world's least well-promoted merch. I just quietly have it in a closet right now.
That's good news. Virginia, unlike the rest of us, is participating in the capitalist marketplace. I think there's a dream that we've been sold about what life looks like we were talking about in the Journey to Wellness episode. I think we think there's going to be this nice, clean trajectory. As parents, we have all of these concerns about our children meeting these milestones on time. I remember being very concerned that my baby wasn't walking fast enough. I was never worried about him talking. He talked too much.
He talked so much.
Was he ever going to grow hair? When I was doing research for this episode, I found an article about genetically how much we all have in common. And it's kind of creepy when we think that we're all so different, but even down to our DNA, we are very much the same.
You know that clones are not necessarily going to be identical replicas of one another in the first generation. But there was a story that came out this week that Japanese scientists who have been cloning the same mouse since 1995. So every individual is genetically the same. There's no variation. At generation 10, they became identical. And from that generation on, they were all identical. But an interesting thing happened. At generation 58, they all died. You could not keep a mouse alive. There's this new idea that you cannot infinitely clone the same individual from itself forever. You have to have some variations. The variations we have are small, but hopefully they're enough to keep us healthy. This is why, unfortunately, the stormtroopers in the Clone Wars cannot all really be cloned from the same individual because they will have health problems.
This also rebukes the plot of Living with Yourself, the Paul Rudd comedy, because they think that you can be cloned infinitely, but apparently you cannot. I remember getting really into the story that happened at A&M University. They cloned this steer because this couple had the steer as a pet, and they had gotten him when he was older. He was a family pet. He would sit outside the kitchen window, sit under a tree, and he was very docile and very sweet, and the family loved him, so they wanted him again. And when they cloned him, they got somebody real different. Mm-hmm. He did some things to the farmers that were...
He was a wild steer.
He was really aggressive. He gored some folks. I was thinking to myself, this is like a nature nurture thing. Obviously, he has the exact same makeup. His experience is very different. It's going to make him a different kind of cow.
Side conversation, guys, if you have a dog, and I know you love your dog or you love your cat, and then that animal passes, don't clone it. There's so many homeless dogs or cats who need your love, and they're going to love you. I knew a woman who had a very unusual crossbreed of dog. When that dog died, we were so sorry, and it was so sad, and it was such a nice dog. A couple of weeks later, she was like, well, I'm going to go to Montana to pick up a dog. What do you mean? She's like, I found a Husky Shar-Pei mix. So...
This is like white guys who only date Asian women. You just want what you had.
You just want the same thing again and again, and you're not going to have the same experience.
Because it's not going to be the same animal. I was thinking about that when Greta was really sick. I wanted to clone her because she really is the most perfect kitty I've ever had. But she had an enlarged heart and kidney failure. I don't know if I really want that again.
Right. You're getting the good with the bad. As you know, I've gone deep into another self-help podcast.
Which I think is actually kind of like cheating.
I am cheating on us.
It seems like you don't believe in us anymore.
But I have brought things from that podcast into this podcast. When you listen to these episodes back to back to back, it's 99% my boyfriend cheated on me. How can I resolve this? My girlfriend has fallen out of love with me. I find it hard to love myself, so it's hard to seek partnership in others. I don't know how to control my kid. The answer to all the questions is you can't control other people. Every individual calling in believes that they're unique, that no one's ever had this problem before. Most of our problems are the same or similar. This is continuing the article from earlier. A teacher I work with refers to this as everyone's, quote, bubble, unquote. Your bubble is the whole set of stories that you have invented about yourself that governs the way you see yourself and, by extension, how you see the rest of the world. Sample stories range from relatively benign ones, such as, I'm good at math, I'm a terrible driver, to deeply rooted and problematic ones, such as, I do not deserve to be loved, there is something profoundly wrong with me. I was actually thinking about my self-image the other day because I did get an MRI scan recently and saw that my brain was not as big as I thought. And I really think I'm on the smarter end of things. That's a core value.
It has nothing to do with brain size.
Because I'm not smart, I think that it does. You talk to people about their career choices and you say, well, you could do something else. And they really don't think they can. You could do anything. What one man can do, another man can do.
I cannot be a firefighter, even if I tried.
Because the circumstances in which our belief bubbles are formed are all unique, we believe our problems to be unique, especially because our beliefs are generally heavily invested with emotion. Even though you aren't the first person to be dumped by your boyfriend or girlfriend, you believe your case is unique. Everybody suffers from the same dilemma, but everybody's suffering is constructed in a particular way according to their individual experience. Everybody gets dumped. Everybody poops. Everybody is going to lose their parents. There's these universal pains that we have. The specifics might be different. I got dumped while drinking a milkshake. My parents died and they both had red hair, but that doesn't change the experience.
Exactly. I have this experience a lot with my child. He does not believe that I've ever done anything
besides be his mother and be a pain in his butt.
Also, in being his mother, I was, according to him, born on the day he was born. We are peers and he knows exactly as much as I do. I've never had a life before him and I probably never will after.
I think this is such a funny thing about childhood. When our parents were splitting up, I think the child has an identity crisis. If I exist, it's because my parents came together to make me. Therefore, the whole reason they are here is to make me. So if my parents separate, where does that leave me? Was I not destined to exist? And am I not supposed to be here?
Yes, children are very self-absorbed. And one thing that I keep noticing, he's gotten really into what I would call 90s fashion. And he's wearing really baggy t-shirts and really baggy jeans. He asks me for my take. And I just say, you look like me in high school. And he gets mad because he says that I don't understand his fashion. And I found this photo of myself. We are wearing the same clothes.
Yeah. You are cosplaying your mother.
He doesn't have a Blues Explosion t-shirt. We can fix that.
Yeah. Because his peer group is dressing in this way, he thinks that it's unique and interesting and individual, and it's not. Sorry, guys.
The thing that I think is really funny is he's all about how he's so different. Then when I drop him off at school, I get confused. I'm like, which one is my kid? Because they all look like him.
I remember being very disturbed hearing mom talk about dating someone who wasn't my dad. Existential crisis. Who would I have been if she had had a child with that person? Answer, I wouldn't exist. They would be somebody else.
According to me, your soul would still be her child, but you would be in a different body and have a different upbringing and experience. Potentially a better one, but probably not because our mother has a really bad picker.
Which steer would I be? The docile steer or the one who was goring people?
These are the questions I ask myself every day.
You know, I've been in the presence of you and your child when you have told him something and he has been so amazed. How did you learn that? Why did you know that? I've been on the planet for longer than you. I am older than our relationship.
Junior senior is having a resurgence.
Hey, I saw that.
They were playing junior senior on the radio. And I said, oh, hey, bro, did you know that I actually hung out with them? I did an interview with them, with my sister, my other sister, for her school newspaper. And we hung out in the van and went to their show. And it was so cool. He looked at me like I had just told him I'd been on the moon.
You know what they say? Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop the beat.
Can't stop. Can't stop the beat. He doesn't know that I have had an entirely full life. We were watching the film High Fidelity, and I was saying to him, hey, did you know? Of course you didn't, because you don't know anything about me. Did you know that I saw a sneak preview of this film at the Paramount? And then the next day I met Jack Black, and he was amazed that I had already seen the movie that he was in because it wasn't out yet.
Did you know that your mother and your aunt used to follow Tenacious D around to the point where they frightened Jack Black in an elevator?
It was actually outside of an elevator. It was in the airport in London. He was exiting the elevator, and that's when I saw his eyes turn to saucers. This is from the article, Your Problems Are Not Unique by Michael Dermer. How often do you think to yourself, no one can understand my challenges because they are so unique? People say that they have been through our problems, but what we are doing is unique. We can't possibly have the same problems, and as a result, we isolate ourselves and hunker down into our perspective. It's a bunker mentality. As more people try to help us, they feel more isolated and hunker down even more. More importantly, your belief that no one understands your specific situation isolates you, not only from knowledge, but also from community. When it comes to accessing much needed resources and direction, defending your difference is not only incorrect, it is not in your best interest.
This is a big part of the stuff I'm trying to work on right now. I think I'm so unique. I think my tastes are so individual. The things that I like says something about me as a person. They don't. Everybody likes what they like. It doesn't make me a better or worse human being, a better or worse friend. Something I have in common with our other sister is we so desperately want to separate ourselves from being
suburban privileged white kids.
For what reason besides it's just so uncool? All these things are put on. Being a suburban privileged white child is who I am at my core. I guess what I'm saying is I understand where Rachel Dolezal is coming from.
Well, like our seeker syndrome episode, these people don't like who they are. They don't accept who they are. They want to be somebody different. Regarding the thing I just read, I got a referral recently from another therapist for hypnosis and pain management. And she sent me a podcast where a doctor who has been practicing hypnosis for pain management for many years is discussing his experience, his beliefs about hypnosis. I'm going to listen to this out of respect for this other therapist, but I'm listening to it. I'm like, I already know all this. I already know all this. I already know all this. And then I get to this point where I'm like, oh, actually, that is good. I'm going to use that. And he did teach me some stuff. I was very defensive because I was in my bunker doing my own stuff. There is help in the world if I want to ask for it.
You had to get out of your own way. You had to put your ego aside and say, even though I know a lot of the things in this recording, there may be something I don't know. I try to operate from the perspective that everybody in the world knows something that I don't know. If I can find that and get it, then I can put it in my collection and put it in my backpack and climb up a mountain. I experience that a lot. My ADHD brain, I think someone's telling me something that I already know. It's painful to listen to. I heard something in school that might be apocryphal. Napoleon was in charge of his family farm. He wanted to go to school, but he was in a big hurry to get back to the farm and get to work. When he was in college, if a professor repeated himself or someone asked something, he would say, this is wasting my time. I feel like that as well.
So what you're telling me is that there's a strong chance that you might end up a Napoleon.
There's a strong chance that I will try to take over a country and crown myself empress and be sent off to an island.
I can think of a good country that you might want to try to take over just today. We need some help.
Interesting. This is from the article, Why Do I Feel Different from Others and How to Cope by Viktor Sander. Mental health problems, including anxiety, addictions, and depression, can cause you to see and think about yourself, the world, and other people in an unusual way. For example, if you have depression, you probably pay more attention to the negative things around you compared to people without depression, which can set you apart from others. Feeling different is a common side effect of trauma. If you've experienced one or more traumatic events, and let's face it, most of us have, you might feel numb, socially isolated, and detached from everyday life. You also might feel that no one else can relate to what you've been through, which is definitively not true. Many people can relate to what you've been through, unless as a child, you were traumatized because your pet rabbit held you at gunpoint with a crossbow, forced you to take off your clothes while reciting the alphabet backwards, and then he shot you anyway. That might be unique.
If that rabbit was named Bunnicula, I've had that experience. I see this a lot in my office. Because of a lot of the things people tell me are their deepest, darkest secrets, they don't understand how universal, for example, childhood sexual abuse is.
Right.
I was talking with a client recently and she was discussing her sexual assault. And I said, "Oh, I remember the first time I was sexually assaulted." And she looked at me and said, "You've been sexually assaulted more than once?"
Darling, angel, puppet. Yes.
Because she's not openly talking about her experiences.
Right.
She's not getting the feedback from other women. Oh, yes, we've all had multiple experiences.
Trigger warning, pregnancy loss. When you lost a pregnancy and you started talking to female friends about it, you were surprised by how many people said, "Oh, yeah, before I had my baby, I lost a pregnancy. I lost 2 pregnancies," because it's not something that's discussed. Every woman who goes through this experience feels like she's alone, that she's at fault somehow. But it's just because it is so traumatic and unpleasant, we don't discuss it.
It feels like an outlier when it happens to you because you don't realize that, in my experience, 40% of your friends have also had pregnancy loss. Although many trauma survivors do recover, trauma can have a serious, long-lasting impact. For example, research shows that people who have experienced trauma as children are more likely to have trust issues and avoid getting close to others. Negative self-talk can become a self-fulfilling prophecy and keep you stuck in unhelpful patterns of behavior. If you often beat yourself up because you feel different or socially awkward, challenging negative self-talk can help you make positive changes.
If you're a person who says to yourself, "I just have trouble making friends, people don't like me, I'm an outsider, I'm an excluded person," and you live your life that way, you're going to create that reality. You're going to behave in an awkward way. You're not going to invite people into your world. You have to get out of your own way.
If I'm awkward and shy and I'm not opening up to other people, and if I'm not trusting other people, I am going to believe that my experiences are very unique and they're only mine because I have no basis
Frame
for
of
comparison.
reference,
Right.
right.
To me, one of the gifts of TikTok is all of these women sharing these universal experiences that they're having. I have a client right now who is experiencing some pain management issues, and she's telling me about how she's gone to 20 different doctors and they've all looked at her like she's a moron. I have not had that experience specifically. I have watched so many TikToks of women talking about it. I understand that this is not just you. Maybe if I hadn't watched a million TikToks and also known women my whole life, I might think this is just an outlier. Maybe she's making this up. Maybe I don't believe her. When we come out of the shadows and actually talk about stuff, I think it's very helpful and healing to large groups of people.
The strange thing about feeling like this hyper individual that nobody can possibly understand, this misunderstood artist, is that it's a combination for me of shame and pride. I'm so weird, no one can understand me, but I'm so weird and no one can understand me. Either way, it's a detriment to my ability to reach out and connect with other people. We can get caught in a trap where we elevate ourselves because we're so different. Our friend used to say this about himself: "I have a massive ego and think I'm incredibly special and incredibly unique and different, but also I hate myself and I think I'm a giant weirdo."
I've experienced this too. In some areas of my life, I'm very, very competent and confident. And then other areas, I don't feel the same. I think I'm a great, cool person, but in certain areas of my life, I don't feel super competent. It's possible for both things to be true at the same time.
You can engage with the feeling that you weren't meant to be good at something. You might do yoga and not feel confident and not feel able to do it. The difference between you and people who are really good at yoga is they've done it. When
This
you were
feels
asking,
a little bit personal.
like when you're talking to your child about what kind of activity he wanted to pursue and he shied away from things that he wasn't good at, there's not a barrier to entry to any of these things.
I told my wife recently that I would like to go do archery with her. Although I do have some experience with it, she was really good at it. Being around her makes life hard in some ways because she is so competent at so many things. And I always feel like I'm bad at it. I did attend a yoga class with her last night and I kept looking at her and her form. I think sometimes being around people who are really good at things that you're not good at, it feels crummy in the moment. That's where you can learn the most.
This is from the article, "Why Some People Feel Too Different to Be Understood: Managing the Enigma Predicament" by Jennifer Gerlach, LCSW. Neurodivergent people and those living with mental health conditions might genuinely integrate information differently, leading us to feel, well, different. This feeling of being different can lead to a sense of negative exception that one is almost inherently, quote, less than others and ought to be treated as such. This pings on the thing I was saying. I sometimes feel both less than and greater than, when really I am just than.
Living as a neurodivergent person, you do realize literally the way this person's brain works is different from mine. I didn't know that for a really long time. And I marvel at other people and just think, how are you doing this? How are you lifing so hard?
Right. And beat myself up over the things that I wasn't as good at.
Right. Because I would tell myself, because Larry is doing all of his homework and going to sleep on time, he's getting way better grades. I remember this guy in my art class in high school. He was so gifted. And I think a big part of his gift was the fact that he put a lot of time into the craft. His plan in life was to be a fine artist. He would show up on Monday and we would have the same assignment, and mine would be dog water and his would be amazing. I didn't love that.
Looking back, you can say, okay, well, I put 45 minutes into this and he put 10 hours into it. And that's what it looks like.
But he put 10 hours into it because he has a different brain from mine.
Right.
My brain doesn't do well with focus and concentration. Some pieces I would get really excited and then I would spend 15 hours on it and not go to sleep. Most of the time it was catch as catch can.
I was in a line in one of Portland's many food cart pods. There's a code on the bathrooms, and the woman who was managing the bathrooms, and she said, you guys, I have to step away, but just remember the code to the door is 09632. 30 people looked at each other in panic and they said, everybody remember to hold the door for, we're not, well, it's easy because it's 09 and then 9 minus 3 is 6, and then 6 minus 3 is 3, and then 3 to the power of 2 is 9, so it's 09632. I did get the exact same look that my sister's giving me now, but it's just how my neurodivergence is.
I would have grabbed my phone and typed it into my notes.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with feeling mysterious or having unusual tendencies or interests. You might have a compulsion to hide or mask them. Yet in hiding your quirks, you deny others' ability to get to know the true you. Try to do the opposite as long as it isn't hurting anyone.
Part of my self-image is this perversity where I don't like things that other people like. I'm proud of not liking the things that other people like.
Like the beach.
Well, the beach sucks, and I don't understand people who like it. I don't like being hot. I don't like being dirty. I don't love being wet. Riddle me this, Batman.
I like all of those things.
Trying to set yourself apart from being different is just as useless as thinking of yourself as less than because you're different. We're all different and we're all the same.
The idea of us being snowflakes comes from this concept that every snowflake is totally different, which I believe is true.
There's lots of different snowflakes. We'll put it that way.
There's a lot of variation in snowflakes. And I think there is a lot of variation in humans. But I think the big mistake that we make is by bunkering ourselves, siloing ourselves, not sharing these parts of ourselves with other people so that we can find out that we, in fact, are actually incredibly boring and everyone else has had our experience.
A snowflake can consist of 10 quintillion water molecules, allowing for virtually infinite arrangements. It's true that no two snowflakes are identical. They all have things in common. They're all very cold. They share a 6-sided hexagonal pattern, but the individual crystalline structures inside them are unique.
You sound like someone with a dehydrated brain. Speaking of my son, which I often do, there was another moment where he really does believe I was born on the day he was born. He told me I had this art project that when we put it in the kiln, it exploded. And I said, oh, is it because it was too thick? Because you hadn't thinned out the edges? And he was like,
how did you know that? Yeah,
I've been doing stuff.
I've thrown stuff in a kiln before. How delightful to feel that your experiences are unique and no one has ever had them. How adorable that is.
It is adorable. It's also incredibly frustrating at times.
Our Problems Aren't That Special by Oliyide. I found that when you open up and start to talk to people, the right people, of course, you can oftentimes realize that your problems aren't as unique as you think they are. You start to realize that even the most nuanced problems have happened to someone else along the way. Big picture, how many problems are there?
Problem with the bow and arrow has not yet happened.
If you've experienced that, write us at hello@mysistersatherapist.com so we can know.
Because we want to make a whole episode about you. That is some crazy stuff. Virginia, in closing, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
I think that our desire to be the same as other people and our desire to be unique as other people can both be used against us. I think that cigarettes, for example, when everyone was smoking them, were so dependent on branding, and you would identify with, I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person. I'm a Marlboro person because I identify with the cowboy smoking a cigarette on a horse at sunset who's going to die from lung cancer at 55. I'm more of a Parliament person. I'm quirky and arty and vaguely East Coast like. I really like white columns with blue fabric blowing through them. And it's all nonsense. We were all picking the ways that we put a drug into our system. That's carried through to pot branding. This is the creative marijuana, and this is the calming marijuana. Our self identity, our peer group affects what kind of cars we drive and what kind of clothes we wear. Your son's desire to look like someone from Dawson's Creek. It's important to remember that these are just things that we've assigned to ourselves for the most part. These are items we've taken on and we can take them off just as easily and connect to a universal human experience. What are your final thoughts on this topic?
I guess my final thought is if you have a problem that you think no one's ever experienced before, go tell somebody about it and see what they say to you. One of the articles that I didn't reference that I read, this woman was saying, you need to get into therapy or you need to get into a processing group where you're meeting with other people who have your same problem so that you can all talk about that problem and realize that our experiences, although they seem unique, are universal. When I go to an AA meeting, although I'm personally not an alcoholic, everything that I hear in those rooms, I've experienced in some form or fashion. I think remembering the thing that I always say is we are all one. We're all in this together. We're all having the same experiences. Being really transparent and honest with yourself and other people is the way to go.
Slight sidebar, relationships. People think that they are so incredibly unique and special that they need to find a soulmate. And when they think they've found that person, they will sometimes invest years and years more than they should if they find themselves in a bad situation because no one else could possibly be my soulmate. When really, if you've got a similar background and more importantly, a similar trauma history, you could be successfully paired with a lot of people. You're not so different from other people that you can't relate to anyone else on the planet.
Most men are a dime a dozen. Am I right?
Yeah, maybe a dime, a baker's dozen. After my show last night, an older white man who was with a really cool lady very much was responding to my message. I enjoyed your show. I hope it's okay that I'm an old cis white man. That's fine. We just legally should be able to hunt you because there's too many. Each of us is neither the most unique person in the world nor the most ordinary person in the world. We're all a combination of things. And that combination of things is going to be generally okay. While you probably shouldn't tell everyone you meet about your sexual trauma history or your pregnancy loss, you should have good friends and close family members that you can talk about these challenges with. And you're going to find that it's more universal than you think.
And if you don't have that, that's something to look at. Work on developing relationships that are meaningful so that you can be honest and share your lived experiences with people that you love.
One friend had a joke about SA. It didn't work one night. It bombed. And he said to me backstage, oh, wow, I hope there's not somebody who's been sexually assaulted in the room. They all have. Every time you told that joke, there's been mostly people who've been sexually assaulted in the room.
There's more than 2 women in the room, then someone's been sexually assaulted.
Someone has been sexually assaulted. And he couldn't believe it. Laura, where can people find you on the internet if they want to either engage with your practice, if they are a resident in the state of Texas, or if they want to engage with this podcast, My Sister's a Therapist?
Well, if they're interested in working with me professionally and they live in the state of Texas, they should go to lauraryan.org. If you are interested in my incredibly amusing TikTok account, you should go to TikTok and search up I am Laura Ryan. If you'd like to follow the show, you can find us on Instagram, My Sister's a Therapist Instagram. You can also find us on YouTube and on our own website, mysistersatherapist.com. Virginia, if somebody wants to discover that they are just another drone in the machine at your comedy show, how would they go about doing that?
All in all, you're just another brick in the wall, as the great man once said. You can find me at my website, which is www.badinia.com. I keep a calendar there. I keep a map of every place I've ever done comedy, and there's links to all of my other social media. If you come to a show, you may have received a sticker that had a link to that website and to several of my social media accounts. And that might be why you found yourself here. Welcome. If you have a question or a comment or a topic you think we should explore on the show, please write us at hello@mysistersatherapist.com. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to hire us for any reason, we would love to consider it. Please write us at hireus@mysistersatherapist.com. We would love it if you wrote us a review on any platform that you listen to us on. Laura, now's the time where you sometimes read a review or a nice comment or an email someone has sent us. Do you have something this week?
This is a message that I found on YouTube from Double Decker Soul Wrecker. I'm shocked I don't see any comments on here. Thank you so much for this episode and for having Maria Bamford on. I adore her, and she has helped me so much on my own mental health journey of navigating life with major treatment-resistant depression and complex PTSD. I can't even put into words how much gratitude I have for Maria. This episode was very helpful as I have been trying to reconnect with a friend who continues to struggle with alcoholism despite telling me that she's sober. Sad face. Well, thank you, Double Decker Soul Wrecker. We have actually had a couple more comments, but I really appreciate you taking the time to send us a comment on YouTube.
And just remember, Maria Bamford supports you in your journey. Laura, now's the time where we take a moment to think about the universal wisdom of Billy Ray Valentine, Capricorn, as he said, "We can make it, baby."
Me and you.
Bye.